And here is the Writer's Almanac for Sunday. It's the 10th of January, 2021. It's the anniversary of the day, 1901. The first oil gusher erupted at Spindletop, just outside Beaumont, Texas, the beginning of the age of petroleum. Until then, most of the oil came from Pennsylvania, and oil and petroleum were used mostly for lamps. But suddenly, with Spindletop, oil became the cheapest fuel, just about 3 cents a barrel. A man named Patillo Higgins thought there was oil there, and he enlisted a Croatian oil explorer named Anthony Lucas. They started drilling in late 1900. Hit a depth of about 1,200 feet, natural gas started shooting out of the ground, followed by crude oil. A gusher, 200 feet straight up in the air. It's the birthday of the poet Philip Levine, born in Detroit, went to work in auto factories at the age of 14. He applied for college, went to Wayne State University, and there discovered how much he loved poetry, went off to the Iowa Writers' Workshop, wound up out in Fresno teaching. Philip Levine said, "I found Detroit hateful and the work exhausting. Even in my imagination, I didn't want to spend time where I was working. I was unable to write anything worth keeping about Detroit for years." It was about 10 years after when he had a dream about people he had known in Detroit, and he woke up and realized that he needed to deal with that part of his life. He called in sick to work. He wrote 8 of the 9 poems that appeared in his second book, poems about factory workers and people working hard. It's the birthday of the poet Dorianne Laux, born in Augusta, Maine, 1952, grew up poor in San Diego, worked as a waitress, came out with her first book, Awake, in 1990. Dorianne Laux, who said, "Any good poem is asking you simply to slow down." RCA Victor introduced the 45 RPM record on this date, 1949. The 78 had been around since the late 1880s. The 45 was smaller, so you could fit more records into one jukebox, and so it became popular with teenagers, and the rise of the 45 single coincided with the rise of rock and roll music. The 33 RPM did not come along until 1948. And it's the birthday of the historian Stephen E. Ambrose, born in Lovington, Illinois, 1936. Author of best-selling books about American history, in particular the history of World War II. He was the founder and director of the National D-Day Museum in New Orleans. Here's a poem for today by Dorianne Laux, Against Endings. On the street outside the window, someone is talking to someone else. A baffling song, no words, only the music of voices, low contralto of questions, laughter's plucked strings, voices in darkness, below stars where someone straddles a bike up on the balls of his feet and someone else stands firm on a curb, her arms crossed. 2 dogs nearby, listening to the human duet. Stars falling through a summer night. A sudden car passing. Rap song thumping. But the voices, unhurried, return. Obligatos afloat on the humid air. Tiny votives wavering as porch lights go out, not wanting it to stop, and Mars rising over the flower shop, up through the telephone wires. Against Endings, a poem by Dorianne Laux from her collection Facts About the Moon, published by W.W. Norton, and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac, funded by donations from listeners like you. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.